Well,
or I think
let me just do a little preamble here. It is now 6:30 p.m. on May 22nd, 2023. This is the opening of Norton Conservation Commission regularly scheduled meeting. And as is our obligation with these Zoom remote meetings, we have to read a preamble relating to the suspension of certain requirements of the open meeting law. So, Dan, go ahead.
pursuant to Governor Healy's March 29th, 2023 bill extending several COVID-era policies and programs by allowing virtual meetings to continue from March 31st, 2023 to March 31st, 2025. This meeting of the Norton Conservation Commission will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information and the general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and/or parties with the right and/or requirement to attend this meeting can be found at the end of this agenda. Members of the public attending this public hearing/meeting virtually will be allowed to make comments if they wish to do so during the portion of the hearing designated for public comment by raising their hand virtually or pressing *9 if participating by phone. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. In the event that we are unable to do so, despite best efforts, we will post on the Norton Cable website, www.nortonmediacenter.org, an audio or video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive record of proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting.
Thank you, Dan. Participating tonight as members of the commission are myself, Julian Kadish, Chair, Lisa Carosa, Vice Chair, and we also have Mark Fernandez, Ron O'Reilly, Dan Pearson, and Tom Avest. Our director, John Thomas, is participating. Megan Harrop is not available until later. So we have no new public hearings. And our first item on the agenda is file number 250-1127, 192, notice of intent 192, Taunton Avenue for Kevin Lovaser. And this has been previously continued for 3 previous meetings. So we have a representative of the applicant.
Yes, I'm here. My name's Peter Lavoie. I work with D&L Design Group out of Milford, Mass.
Now, we had relatively limited issues to resolve, so if you could just review those. I think it had to do with discussions with the peer reviewer. Is that correct?
Yes, I have that. They all 4 comments have been addressed, and we did receive a letter from PGB last week that we had addressed all our comments, and we did finally get a DEP number. That was the 2 things.
Mm-hmm. So I guess, John, any comments on the completion of the review of the peer reviewer comments?
Nothing environmentally. I think, well, there are a couple things on the site that should be done. I think there's a lot of discarded waste and debris that's in the buffer zone. There's a trailer in the buffer zone as well. That stuff was omitted from the plan. You know, all that stuff I think would be conditioned in an order of conditions to be removed prior to any sort of construction or pre-construction meeting. And I think the applicant has already discussed a potential conservation restriction with the Land Preservation Society. So we'd like to see a copy of that probably in an order of conditions, pending closure, and then obviously the issue of an order of conditions.
So this material is pre-existing then?
That's correct, yeah. I believe there's some other discarded stuff like roofing tiles and some refrigerators, washing machines, tires, things of that nature that need to be removed. but that can all get conditioned.
All right, and any questions from members of the commission? If not, any questions from members of the audience? So as I gather, all the issues have been addressed with this project, and we can consider a motion to close. Is that correct?
That's my understanding.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing for file 250-1127.
Second.
Motion made by Lisa and seconded by Tama for closing the public hearing concerning 192 Taunton Avenue. Roll call vote, beginning with Dan and Ron.
Aye.
Aye.
And Tama and Lisa.
Aye.
Aye.
And Mark.
Aye.
And I'll throw in an aye. So the motion carries. The hearing is closed, and we will be generating an order of conditions likely for the next meeting, which appears to be scheduled for the 12th of June.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Our next item is file number 250-1126 concerning 1 Dean Street. And it is noted on the agenda that they are requesting a continuance until 6/26.
I'll make a motion to continue file 250-1126 to the, was it 6/26 meeting?
It's correct. It's 26th of June.
Second.
All right. So motion made by Dan, and Lisa got in under the wire for the second. Roll call vote starting with Dan and Ron.
Aye.
Aye.
And Tama and Lisa.
Aye.
Aye.
And Mark. Aye. And I'll throw in an aye, so the motion carries. The hearing for file number 250-1126 is continued until June 26th. So we have next on the agenda a request for a certificate of compliance. So, but we have, well, guide me here, John. Is that going to be our next item, or is there something else we're going to be slipping in between?
So the only thing that we have is the request for certificate of compliance, and then we go into the orders of conditions.
Yeah, I have a plan concerning 213. Oh, that's our certificate of compliance. All right, we got it. It has a replication area on the plan, so that's been completed and appears fine for issuing the complete COC or not. Complete certificate of compliance.
So I was out there this past, I want to say Friday, and I looked at the wetland replication area. It seems to be thriving. Alongside that, the consultant from Goddard, Nicole Hayes, is on the call. She provided a report on the status of the wetland replication area. I don't know, Nicole, did you want to add to that?
Yeah. There we go. Hello, my name is Nicole Hayes from Goddard Consulting. I did the final inspection. It looked good. Everything's thriving. There's probably 95% wetland indicator coverage, which is surpassed the 75% that is required. So I thought it looked good and meets all the requirements.
And John, you agree with that, I take it?
Not just that, but the site was stabilized, so it meets all the thresholds with the closure for any sort of request for certificate of compliance. So I think, based on my professional expertise, that they're good to go for this site. The visual barrier was in, the conservation restriction information was provided, and that was all recorded with the registry, so we should be all set for this one.
All right, ready for a motion?
So we're looking for a full COC, John?
That's correct.
Okay, I'll make a motion to issue a full certificate of compliance for file number 250-1032.
Motion made by Lisa and seconded by?
Second.
Seconded by Ron. Again, this is for complete COC for 213 Oak Street. Roll call vote, starting with Dan and Ron.
Aye. Aye.
And Tama and Lisa.
Aye.
Aye.
And Mark? Aye. And I'll throw in an aye. We have a full certificate of compliance approved for file number 250-1032. Our next item is orders of conditions, beginning with 13 Dean Street. So I just have a comment, because there's no, in this, unless I overlooked it, there's no specific statement about this order approves such and such work as illustrated by such and such plan on this site. So is that other paperwork that goes with the certificate, or is, I vaguely recall that at least some of our orders would have that descriptive.
I may have goofed on that one, so let me just pull it up. If there is, I'll add to it.
Yeah, if anybody else found it, let me know, because I might have overlooked it. And I think the same is true for the next one also. I couldn't find specific references to the plan or the description of the project.
So in the actual form itself, it will list the actual plan on record when I issue the form. I don't have that per se right now generated, but I will verbatim of the last revised date, it will reference that plan on record. But under condition number 8, it says this permit authorizes the following activities. I can add, a line to that per said site plan, and then just reiterate the revision date and the engineer's name if that kind of would be better.
I think that, because if we go back later and find a whole lot more work done,
Okay.
it makes it sharper to be able to say, hey, this is only related to such and such.
Yeah, so what I'll do is, to that regard, to condition number 8, I will add some language that states per the approved site plan, and then whatever it's entitled. I think this one for 13 Dean Street is the septic upgrade and repair.
Mhm.
And then the revised date, and then the surveyor or engineer.
Any other questions, comments?
Sorry, that was approved, per the approved site plan. The language.
Dan, I'll probably just send it over to you. I'll copy and paste
Oh.
what I put in there, and I'll do this tomorrow anyway.
Okay.
And I'll send it over to you.
Okay. All right. I appreciate it.
Everything else seems very straightforward. Any other comments?
Ready for motion?
I think so, unless somebody else says other things need to be dealt with, but it looks okay to me.
I'll make a motion to approve the draft order conditions for 250-1123 as discussed.
Motion made by Lisa, seconded by?
Second.
Seconded by Ron, for approval of the draft order of conditions as modified in discussion for file number 250-1123. Roll call vote, starting with Dan and Tama.
Aye.
Aye.
Lisa and Mark.
Aye.
Aye. And Ron.
Aye.
And I'll throw in an aye. So the motion carries. Order conditions for file number 250-1123 are approved as modified. And then we have order of conditions, file number 250-1124, 301 South Worcester Street. And again, I didn't see any, I might have overlooked it, reference specifically to what the order approves as work.
Yeah,
And,
so in light of that question, what I'll do is under project findings, condition number 10, I can actually just bring this up to our, I'll bring this up on screen. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, just the specifics of the approved plan. That's
Sure.
all.
So can everyone see that?
Yes.
Yes. Yep.
Yes.
So what it will say is basically, I don't know what the date on the plan is as of right now, but I can definitely get that. But it will say this permit authorized the following activities per the final approved plan, stamped by Level Design Associates with the date that they have. It's going to reflect the same language that is within the form that's on record that gets issued with this as well.
Yeah. But
But
I think it makes it tighter.
Right. So Lisa had some comments, I guess, today on some language. I just wanted to bring this to the attention of the commission this morning. She had some suggestions. So I changed part of condition number 14. So the above paragraph is what it previously had right here. This is the above paragraph. Then I modified the paragraph below because there were some concerns with, how do we track the amount of riverfront that the applicant has, I guess, permitted, but then, if there's any sort of future development, just to have that as a basis of reference. So I did what I could for this and try to just basically document that to, for the benefit of the commission if we have to look back at this permit application for any, future disturbance.
Yeah,
Yeah.
looks good.
I think that covers it, John. My concern was, we carve out these lots and we have a cumulative impact for riverfront area, but we still have the main house at 301, right?
Right.
To remain.
Right.
And if somebody wants to subdivide again, they can't start at 0 with riverfront. So as
Right.
far as I'm concerned, it's the entire parcel. It includes 301, it includes the subdivision. You have to take it as a whole and as it exists today.
Right.
Because then otherwise you can just keep carving it up and coming up with 10% every time you subdivide it.
Right.
So
So,
I just wanted to be clear that 301 should be included, not just the 5 lots or whatever number of lots it is. That's all. So I think this covers it.
Okay.
Okay.
so is that the beige language?
That's correct, Dan. Everything in the beige language.
Okay.
And Dan, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to send you copies of all the orders that we issue tomorrow.
Super.
So that way you
All
have
right.
them if you need to reference any of
Okay.
the information. Okay.
Okay.
Megan usually has those in the office to go off of, but I'll send those over to you.
Thank you.
I think everything else was pretty straightforward in this.
Yeah.
Just discussion on that visual barrier from the vernal pool. I think we addressed that in this order too. I think that was mainly it for some of the major concerns the commission had, but did anyone else have any concerns or questions regarding the order for this project?
John, I think we logged a few of the items for the contractor to give us. Was one of them the wall, the culvert?
Yeah, I think I touched on that one. Let me just double check. So I have here, the 15.
Okay.
So under 15C, final
Okay.
construction plans showing retaining wall detail and proposed visual barriers
Okay.
for review and approval by the NCC.
Okay, so I remember number 16. I had a question about the construction of the open box crossing shall be per the O&M. What does the O&M have to do with the construction?
What's that?
What does an O&M have to do with how the construction of the wall?
How are they going to put in the silt fence and everything for that operation and maintenance of the wall?
That should be the SWIP. right? The O&M is an operation term maintenance, the O&M is for stormwater, right?
Well, they should have an O&M plan for the open box crossing too.
Do they?
They should.
Okay,
Well, I
that's
guess,
news, that's new to me.
I guess they will.
I don't think we've ever asked for an O&M. I've never produced an O&M.
I mean,
for-
I can add the SWIP in here per the SWIP. I mean, that's fine. But typically, I mean, on the most recent project that we had a crossing on, we asked them for an O&M for the crossing.
But
You mean sequence? So O&M is operations and maintenance once it's constructed. It has to do the references to stormwater features, not a wall. That's why I'm kind of confused.
All right.
well,
So
but once, I mean, you have an open box culvert crossing, and it's often pretty generous as far as equalization and all that. How much maintenance does it really require?
Oh, they'll have to maintain that in case there's any debris or trash or things like that, or if it's clogged with sediment. So let me ask you this: does the open box culvert, is that part of the O&M? Should be. It's a drainage feature.
Well, but this is
My
not
only
a
point is-
major.
Yeah, my only point is you usually don't have an O&M tied to a box culvert. I mean, if it is, then it should be in the O&M plan for the rest of the stormwater features. Because it's a stormwater feature, right? The culvert's a stormwater feature in essence. It's a way to get across the road, but it's a stormwater feature. So,
Well, but it would probably take quite an event to begin to put debris plugging a box culvert. But that's
So what I'll do instead is I'll just strike the SWIP and put in per plan design.
yes, okay. But now that you mention it, we should make sure that the O&M hopefully has the culvert crossing in it, because it should have every drainage component in it, or stormwater component in it, including the box culvert. So,
yeah. There was a squawk from Scott. Do you still want to make a comment or not?
Sorry, I mean, I don't have necessarily the right to interject in your deliberations, but I was just listening in, and if you'd like to shut me down, it's fine. I was just kind of agreeing with some of the points of the commission on that. I've never seen an O&M for an open box culvert by the virtue of the fact that they're typically so oversized that I suppose if a huge, tree landed in front of it or something like that, maybe there would be an appropriate.
but moving
I-
forward, John Thomas, if we do have a box culvert opening, it should absolutely be part of the O&M for post-development stormwater maintenance. That's all.
Yeah. I kind of think that if a box culvert has a problem, probably the road going on top of it also has a problem. So it's going to be it's going to be an unusual event. But I think there's probably a way just to slide in a condition which says, it has to be able to remain functional, and some maintenance may be required to ensure that.
Okay, but this was not the condition to do it. I can tell you that. That's all I'm saying. Okay.
All right.
I'm good.
So, John, do you have any comments about where to put that in, or
Well,
I
but
mean,
if the final O&M is already done and it doesn't include it, then we should probably put a statement in.
So I say in condition number 15, the NCC find that the applicant shall provide the following deliverables prior to a pre-construction meeting, and I have a final O&M plan
Okay.
signed by the owner or HOA.
Okay, I got it.
So do you
So-
want
yeah.
you want to put language in here?
Comma,
next to the-
including the open box culvert. And we're done. Yeah. Yeah, that's all.
All right. So
Yeah.
that language is new,
okay.
and that should be relatively simple and easy for the engineer to provide.
So John 16, I just want to be a little clearer. The construction of the Oceanbach culvert shall be per the plan design. Oversight shall be provided by the applicant's structural engineer, wetland scientist. When? When it's going in? You got to be very explicit. If this is going to a contractor, when? When, where, what, why, how? Right? So oversight during construction, during installation.
I would say throughout the whole entire process, if you want my opinion.
Okay, then you got to edit 16 accordingly. So the first sentence is true for the plan design. Then the second one should say the installation shall be witnessed or wherever you want to put it. Construction, whatever. Okay. So it may not be the structural, it may be a civil. Do you want to just put engineer? I mean, the structural typically designs it. I don't know how many structurals have ever come to a site to look at the installation of their design. It's usually the civil at that point.
We'll just call
I
it
don't
a
know.
PE.
Yeah, I don't want to have them, have to call up the structural. You could be somewhere else to say, hey, can you come to the site to watch this go in? But
Well, it's in the best interest for the person that's designing the road to make sure that it's put in correctly. Otherwise, they're going to be subjected to any sort of issues with the homeowners later on.
yeah, just keeping it general with professional engineers good. Okay.
All right, any other comments? Because I'm about to put on Dan's hat here.
Huh.
With item number 5. The middle line, it says approved plan, the precast open box culvert. So that E's got to go.
Which one?
Yeah, I noticed that.
Oh,
It
Somewhere
would be
else.
prior to the cast system, which is probably not in the Wetlands Protection Act, and it may be difficult to define that anyway.
Yeah, I think that was in the intro too, under number 1. Or it was somewhere else too. It may have been the listing of items that it approved.
I think I copy and pasted what the applicant had for their language on it. So
Well, then
All
that's the
right, but-
applicant.
but
doesn't have to-
that language doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I think it was somewhere else too.
I'll have to do a find and replace for
Yeah.
that.
Okay.
All right, any other comments? So we're ready for a motion?
Well, I'll make a motion to issue the order of conditions for file 250-1124 as discussed.
Motion by Lisa, seconded by?
Second.
Seconded by Mark, for approval of the order of conditions for 301 South Worcester Street project as modified during discussion. Roll call vote, starting with Dan and Mark.
Aye.
Aye. And Lisa and Tama
Aye.
Aye.
and Ron. Ron's having difficulty with that mute button.
Aye.
Okay, I'll throw in an aye. The motion carries. The order of conditions is approved.
Thank you all. Have a good night. I'm going to sign off.
You bet.
Hey,
Thank you.
John, could you send the original to my attention?
Yeah, I'll send it over to you.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
We have some draft minutes. Beginning with April 10th. So Lisa and Tom, can't vote on this one, but we do have a quorum, I believe, on this.
Well, Ron just slipped off.
Oh. Okay, so maybe, what do we got here? So we don't have a quorum. All right. So we can reconsider if Ron is able to make it back. And we have the same problem with the 24th of April. And it looks like May 8th were okay. Any comments about May 8th? I had none.
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes of May 8th, 2023.
Motion made by Lisa, seconded by?
Second.
Seconded by Tama to approve the minutes of Monday, May 8th, as submitted. Roll call vote starting with Dan and Tama.
Aye.
Aye.
And Lisa and Mark.
Aye.
Aye. And I'll throw in an aye, so May 8th minutes are approved. And so we'll table these two remaining ones until next time. Anything of note and report from staff?
So, that Zero South Washington project, the parking lot for Amazon, they
Yeah.
came back. I guess the planning board denied them because it didn't have any sort of net benefit to the town. So they're coming back with a new design. So I'm just going to show this on screen for the commission so they can see it because they sent me over a plan. And this is what they're proposing. So this is if we all recall the original design, it was going to be, let's see if I can highlight here. This was kind of the end of where their work was. Right there.
I'm really puzzled by the planning board's statement because Amazon does provide a service to the town, and this parking lot facilitates that service. So what are they saying?
So I guess the planning board statement regarding this project, now obviously it's not our purview, but I guess it wasn't providing any sort of financial benefit to the town per se. That's my understanding. And by having a taxable building on the property, they would be able to at least obtain taxes from this property. I guess they wouldn't be able to tax this property for the use if it was just a vacant parking lot. That's my understanding.
So John, now it conflicts with the Wetlands Protection Act that they did not take every measure to avoid riverfront. So now we have a conflict, don't we?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't meet the performance standards as far as I'm concerned. We asked them to get out of the riverfront, they did. So now they're in a catch-22. So now they have to get that building out of the riverfront and make the parking work.
So the issue that they run into is they need to have a certain amount of spaces to
That's
facilitate.
too
I know. I'm
Too bad.
But,
I
but
I know.
yeah.
so I'm really puzzled because coming back with a larger footprint, how does that address the decision by the planning board saying that we don't like it because we don't feel it benefits the town? So now they're coming back with a bigger footprint. How will that change the planning board's mind?
Well, isn't that because they now have a taxable building on there? So now
Oh,
they
there's a
charge
building?
taxes?
Is that what that is?
That's what this is. So
And John, if you don't mind, sorry, I know that maybe many others are familiar with this, but I wasn't, like, what's the deal with the number of, like, they have to have a certain number of parking spots?
Yeah, so the issue is, let me just put this in a different color so everybody can see that. So the area in red is the proposed building now. That's what they're proposing. The yellow line was the previous disturbance, heading kind of this whole entire area. It would go all the way around here and up around here. So they need to have a building on the property for it to be a taxable, I guess, property, because that's what they need. It needs to have a property address, and you can't have a parking lot to have a physical address.
So what's going in the building, John? Is it just a building? Nothing in it?
I can't answer that question. I don't know exactly what it is. I would presume it's going to be some sort of shop for somebody to be able to office space or whatnot, whatever it's going to be.
But I think it's disingenuous at this point because, all right, is this on septic? Do we need septic? Do we need, so we're just putting up a building just to satisfy tax revenue. And how much is that tax revenue going to gain the town versus they're going to have to weigh this because we already told them to stay out of the riverfront and avoid. And now they're clearly just in it.
Why don't they call that dumpster a building?
I don't think that qualifies.
Well, okay, so let me ask you this. Can Amazon make, all right, let's try to think outside the box.
I think Amazon wanted them to put in a guard shack and that be the point of reference with a mailbox, but the planning board said no.
Okay, so can we think outside of the box and ask the town if they'll take perhaps a donation from Amazon every year in lieu of taxes? Can we please start thinking outside of the box somehow so we can get this obnoxious building that serves no purpose out of our jurisdiction?
Well, if we were really thinking outside the box, we would say that Amazon bullies publishers and therefore is a threat to free speech. And
Okay.
we wouldn't want to have anything to do with Amazon anyway.
Yeah, but you got to show us where that section is of Wetland Protection Act.
I know, but neither is taxes or revenue.
Well,
I think
and
we get
that's
really creative with a donation to the town somehow.
So
but
that was my
that's-
thought as well, Lisa, to be honest with you, when this first came in. I thought that, a common gift to the town, I mean, at least have some of the vehicles registered here in town to offset those costs. I don't see why that wouldn't be something that could be,
Yeah.
I guess, that was not brought up. So I can't speak on behalf of the
Okay.
planning board. It's not my purview. It's not my jurisdiction. So
No, but John, wouldn't it be worth it for you to have a discussion with the planning director to say, let's figure out.
we don't currently have a planning director right now.
Okay, or the planning board to say what you just directed them to do is in conflict with the Wetlands Act, so they can't do it.
I think that was the plan at some point, was to, we're still looking for a new planning director. And when that planning director gets hired, that's going to be our first discussion and first item. I don't see that happening until at least July, at the earliest. So this project will be potentially coming in front of us. Obviously, I just wanted to be able to provide the commission a kind of an idea what's going to be down, through potential review. But I'm not fond of this because I think that, this project is in excess of kind of what was already previously permitted. I don't know if they can get a waiver from the amount of parking spaces that are required for this. That's some other things for them to think about, whether what's acceptable and what's not acceptable. I mean, do they need the amount of parking spaces to make this project work? Are they
Right.
required to have that? Could they take all this work outside the riverfront area and have the same limit of work, but then just scale it back a little bit? I think that's one of the alternatives that they can look at. And just
Did they reduce the number, not the number, but the size of the spaces like we asked them to already?
I think that they've tried to. They did reduce them from what they had previously.
Okay.
I think as of right now, they've increased it by 6 spaces from this new rendition. So that's
All right. Well, but clearly this plan cannot be approved by us. It has conflicts.
Yeah.
So I mean, you are being politic about and not criticizing planning board, but as a citizen of the town, I think this statement by the planning board is just a little more mercenary than they need to be, because this parking lot is not going to send kids to school. It's not going to require fire services and probably won't require police services. So I'm not really sure why they feel it is so important to increase the tax revenue above the already existing lot taxes. So, they're going to have to, perhaps the selectmen need to have some input here, because this seems a little above and beyond.
I have a question, just because I'm still relatively new. What is our role in something like this? Like, should we be helping them, or can we just simply go back and say non-starter? Like, what, as the commission, what's our obligation?
Well, I can offer an opinion on that, we have to enforce the Wetland Protection Act, and we did that. And another board on very thin grounds is asking us to violate the Wetlands Protection Act, and we can't do that.
So I just want to reiterate that that's not what the planning board's asking. This is what the applicant is came back with for a design. They plan on presenting this to the commission, which they asked me to present this. I told them that I would present the plan, but no promises, because you're encroaching on to the riverfront area, and you've already been pre-approved already for work outside the riverfront area. So, it's going to be a very hard sell for the commission, to my knowledge, and that's what I thought going into this, and that's kind of what I'm getting the same kind of back at. So
Gotcha.
I think that, there's got to be some sort of middle ground that the applicant's going to have to work out with the planning board and also their client, Amazon, to kind of reutilize that pre-existing, pre-approved limit of work and try to figure out something that's going to mend and work for them, to try to get them where they need to be. They may not get exactly what they're looking for, and if that doesn't work to their benefit, then this project's not going to work for them.
John Thomas, I know maybe this is this is probably a legal question, but what in the planning board regulations ties approval to tax dollars? Anything that you know of? No, I've never heard of that. So do they have grounds for appealing the planning board's decision?
So I know that the applicant appealed the decision, and I know that it was going to head to court, and I don't know what the decision has been of that. But I know that, for instance, in lieu of that, the applicant is trying to come up with a better design to try to expedite kind of what he's trying to do. So I don't really know, because I'm not involved with all that stuff. I just hear stuff about what's going on, but
just the messenger.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is kind of what's in front of me. So I just don't think that this is something that I think is permittable, especially since we've already pre-approved something else.
Well, I don't think it tells the whole picture, because you can't just slap a building in here. You have to have grading, you have to have access, you have to have a septic system.
Right.
So this is a cartoon. This isn't real. Because
This is very, very raw and conceptual. Yeah.
Right, but I don't think they're going to have any space to put a septic system, for instance. Or then you have to bring water in. Is there any even water here? So
That's the
the
question.
plan
Right?
is bogus at the moment.
So now the planning board, who is concerned about revenue, is going to expend much more money in the town's legal costs
Yep.
than this would ever raise by having a little building there. This has got more decision making all over it.
If I could just point something out, just as a footnote, we've mentioned revenue a few times. I believe that in the selectmen's job description, part of it says, uses the word revenue. Part of their job is, the selectmen's job is to collect revenue.
But not
Well,
the
I
planning
certainly-
board, Dan. Not
I-
the planning board. There's no such mention.
Right.
that I know of
Right.
in a planning-
just meant-
but
I'm
planning
just-
board.
All right. But
I
this,
just mentioned it for comparison.
I'd
Yeah,
have
but
to
this-
I'd have to pull the decision from the planning board to see why they denied it. I don't have the decision. I think that's probably one of the things that we should probably take a look at to see why they denied this project. And then just to have that as reference, and then basically have our own kind of reasons why this project, as if it was proposed, would not work for the Wetlands Protection Act and also the commission here.
yeah, but where is the Amazon warehouse? Is it just around the corner in the Norton Commerce Center?
I do not know where I think the warehouse,
No, there's none in Norton.
I know there's one in Fall River. I don't know if there's one any closer.
Yeah, I think it's where's 79 where they built that new interchange.
Yeah. It's like
Um,
exit 10 or something like that on 79.
Yeah,
But then why would they
This
put
is
this parking
Freetown.
lot?
I
I'm
think
sorry.
it's Freetown.
It could be Freetown, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's on the property border.
Yeah.
Say again, Julie?
Well, I just, I mean, we're kind of stubbing our toe here potentially because we have this commerce center and the potential for an Amazon warehouse there because they seem to be like I don't know, a big fungus that is invading everywhere. So chances are you'll have a warehouse near your town or in your town.
Well,
Yeah,
John,
I don't know the specifics on where the closest warehouse is.
the only other thing I can think of, and what struck me with this is, I know enough about planning board regulations to be dangerous, is that your parking lot has to be associated with a use, not just places to park cars. So you have to have a building or a use associated with it, not for tax purposes, but it has to be in the context and ancillary to a use, an intended use. And right now it has no use except for a parking lot. I don't know though. I don't know what our planning board regs say, but they're going to have their work cut out for them.
Yep.
But
And-
I'll just say get creative. Offer whatever they were going to offer in tax dollars over 25 years, and just make a donation to the town and be done with this.
I mean, that would be the smart play, but you can't tell somebody what to do. I mean, that's
You can suggest it.
you can suggest it. Yeah, you can make recommendations.
Yeah.
But whether they follow through, that's on them.
Well, the only other thing I would ask, John, is if they do want to come before us with this, I want to see water, sewer. I want to see a real building. I'm not looking at a cartoon.
Yeah, so the next time that they come in, you want to see something that basically shows 95% completion of proposed.
Yeah, but it's
I
a
mean-
non-starter. It's just a non-starter. We're spending more time than we should on this.
As long as you're making suggestions, they might consider, if they want to make a gift, as you put it, of buying some of the land on Main Street that is headed for development but hung up, and just giving it to the town to leave it as it is.
Yeah, but this has to do with negotiations between Amazon and the planning board. So,
Right.
we can't get into these details.
Right, okay. I'm just suggesting.
Yeah, I mean,
Everyone has ideas, so.
Well, you can go to bat for Amazon if you like.
What is it?
I'm just kidding you.
I
I
am
said-
against Amazon. I
Yeah,
hope that's...
I know that.
Anyway, next, sorry.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything else.
I don't have anything else of major, I guess, substance to provide the commission. There's a couple projects that have been in front of the town, but nothing has really solidified, as I've stated. We're still waiting on kind of some projects to come in, but that Meadowbrook project may be coming back. The one that we saw for the Mr. Wydack.
Mhm.
And there's a couple other projects that have I've heard rumblings on, but we'll wait to see if anything actually transpires.
Ron is back, so I don't know if we have the appetite for April 10th and April 24th minutes.
I don't know why I left.
Well, maybe you stepped into another dimension for a moment, but you're now stuck with us again. So should
Are we
we?
doing the minute?
Well, it's the commission's choice. We can do them next time. I'm not. Don't feel strongly.
Not that I have a vote in either of them, but I think we should get them out of the way. It's gonna look funky if we're posting May ones before April 1, and then the next meeting could be a hell of a ride, so we don't know if we're gonna be fried.
So
So I
just so we all know, we're not going to be posting any minutes till Megan gets back because I don't know.
all right.
All right. Well, I mean, how controversial is this? I don't see cast, C-A-S-T-E in here, so we probably can move on them quickly.
Dan, you're rubbing off on Julian. That's not a good thing.
Yeah, I'm not back in the Middle Ages, but I am reading a book about the development of the atomic bombs and the results, and I don't think we want to bring that into the minutes.
Well, if the atomic bombs go off, maybe we will be back in the Middle Ages. So.
Oh yes, I think we'll be back quite a bit before that. Probably Snowball Earth or Nuclear Winter. But so any comments on April 10th? And since you did these minutes, Dan, you're the vouch. You're ready to vouch that it's an accurate reflection of what was recorded.
Oh, you're putting a lot of weight on my shoulders, but I guess I will. Yes.
All right, there
Do
you
you
go.
want me to make? Do you want me to make a motion?
I actually have a couple comments I'd like to address
Okay.
on line 4. Just kidding. Keep going.
Now I know how everyone else feels when I make my comments. Put it in an email, please, John, and
I will. I'll redline it too.
all right. So I'll make a motion to get things moving along.
Okay.
To accept the minutes of April the 10th.
Motion by Dan, seconded by
Second.
Ron. So again, the attending people were Dan, Ron, Mark, and myself. So how do you vote, Dan? And Ron?
Aye.
Aye.
And Mark?
Aye.
And I'll throw in an aye. Motion carries for approving minutes of April 10th.
I'm staying, Commissioner.
And yes, those who were absent, which include Lisa and Tama, will be registered as an abstention.
Mhm.
And the same will be true for our next set of minutes, which is April 24th. And again, I have no comments. So if we're ready,
Okay. The sin upon my head. I'll make a motion to accept the April 24th minutes.
all right. And so those who can vote, Ron and Dan, how do you vote?
Oh, do we have
Aye.
a second? Do we have
Oh,
a
that's-
second?
Second.
Yes, we have a second. So motion by Dan, second by Ron. How do you vote, Ron and Dan?
Aye.
Aye.
And Mark?
Aye.
And I'll throw in an aye. The motion carries. Monday, April 24th minutes are approved. Now we're done. Yes?
Super.
We even
Yeah.
beat the sun.
That was relatively painless.
Okay.
All right. Well, in 2 weeks, I'll see you guys again.
Very
Okay.
good.
And Dan, can you come by the office this week to sign payroll and some other bills?
I can indeed, and I'm sorry if I left you hanging.
No, that's all right.
John.
That's okay.
I was away.
They're waiting for
I
you.
was away all week.
That's
I
all
was
right.
away all week, so
We got plenty of time, Dan. Plenty of time.
super.
All right. I'll see you this week.
Okay.
All right, guys.
Good night, everyone.
Bye, everyone.